Hey, everybody, and thanks for checking out another action packed edition of the OverMark Podcast. We're your hosts, TJ and Dave. Today, we're going to be talking about AEW Collision. That was on 5/8/25. Check out our socials, like always. We're going to honk 'em at you. Pretty much the same stuff as we've done every other time. Twitter, YouTube. What else we got, Dave? Spotify and Instagram. Yep, that's the four of them. It's funny how there's only four, but I feel like I struggle every time. But we're going to jump...
The big four of social media.
We're going to jump right in. Well, that's just here. In other parts of the world, they got stuff that's more popular there, that's more culturally relevant to them. You know, they got like that Russian Facebook, and I forget what they are, but they're out there. But anyways, we'll jump into Collision here. It was on 5/8/25, like I said earlier. They had an attendance of 2822 at the Masonic Temple Theater, Detroit, Michigan. Current setup was for 3142. Available tickets 320, near sellout. This was the same as the other day. Same location. So you bought tickets for Dynamite. You went to Collision as well. So it's identical for everything there. I like the building. Dave liked it too. We talked about that last time.
Super cool building.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it this time.
Yeah, I liked it. But you want to talk us through this one, Dave? I feel like you'll like...
Yeah. Speaking of how cool the building was, we get a promo from Timeless Toni Storm, and she's up in like a little balcony area that looks very old-timey. Yeah, box seat balcony area deal. It looked very cool. Like the guys on the Muppets back in the day, up in the box seat arguing. Anyway, she appears with a spotlight high above her, and she's full-on Timeless Toni Storm as usual. She begins her promo, and she's talking about, so many men have taken a shot at me. I feel like Abraham Lincoln. By the way, this is a very innuendo-heavy promo here. She describes her first time in suggestive terms as sweaty and painful. And, then she talks about as she progressed, each time increasing in intensity, 1, 2, 3 at a time. And then she talks about beyond that, times involving random objects and being watched by perverts. And then she tells the fans to get their mind out of the gutter, because obviously she's referring to wrestling and, wrestling one-on-one, triple threats and, fatal four-ways and that sort of thing, and not talking about, getting the train run on her like everybody in the crowd is thinking, because they're a bunch of perverts. And then she delivers the punchline, the best bang is nothing compared to fighting for the AEW Women's World Championship. The crowd is chanting for her. She's super over. They're giving her the Toni, Toni, Toni chant. She says she won't wait in line for the next CEOs and declares herself that next week, spit on it, sit on it, and let's get timeless. And then she dramatically exits. Wow, that was something. What did you think of all that, TJ?
I mean, it was funny. I don't know. Like, it's like trails for me, like, to being on a little bit too goofy, but it's something that nobody else is doing, and it is funny. I don't know. I like Toni. She's pretty good. You already know that, though. I think everybody does if they've listened to this at all. She's definitely the best chick they got over there right now, and one of the only two she's one out of two females that they have actual plans for in the company. Her and Mercedes.
And then those plans are going to connect here soon, we assume.
Yeah.
And
then for sure.
Then we'll see if they continue to have plans for one or both of them.
The only way that I could think that Mercedes wouldn't be winning that the Owen is if Athena comes back and fucks her over, because it seems kind of pointless that like she just like came, lost, disappeared. It's like she was undefeated for a really long time and just kind of like lost in, I think, the opener in the Owen. And I don't know, like, I get they're trying to make the Owen a big deal, but there's a certain point where it's like there's an individual that is going to keep wrestling after that, and it seems like you just kind of didn't really have anything for her. But Well,
And speaking of Mercedes, she did lose the New Japan Strong title last night, so she can lose a match. It's been a while since we saw that happen.
yeah. But we'll go ahead and jump on ahead to this backstage interview here with Lexi Nair and Paragon. Lexi Nair is interviewing the Paragon backstage. Roderick Strong says that teaming with Kyle O'Reilly again has been harder than he expected, but reminds everyone that they're still among the best on the planet. Adam Cole supports him, calling Strong and Kyle one of the best teams. The interview is interrupted by the grizzled young veterans. GYV issues a direct challenge to Strong and O'Reilly. I don't know, like, have the GYV been on this show that much? If they have, I haven't really paid attention to it, and I don't know, it's like Roderick Strong's good in the ring, and Kyle O'Reilly is too, but they both just aren't confident speakers at all, and it's pretty much anything that they say just feels overly scripted and something that they've rehearsed 100 times, and Adam Cole's just kind of there. He won that belt, and doesn't seem like they have any plans for him with the belt. And I don't know, that, like I said, the grizzled young veterans, like, who are they and where have they been? You know, I remember they made it seem like a really big deal when they signed him, and I feel like they're kind of just like down there at ROH. And what do you think about all that?
Well, not much. This was a time for most folks to get up and excuse themselves and go refill their water or something. At least it advanced the story of the Paragon a little bit, whatever that story is or isn't.
Is there,
I don't know.
Any chance you want to advance us on to what happened next?
Yeah, that'd be good, actually. The next thing that comes up is we get a match with Ricochet and Angelico with Serpentico. A whole bunch of O's in here. And Ricochet comes out, and you know, I like his entrance music. I like his whole gimmick, even though he's supposed to be a bad guy. And then it shows the former WWE star Zach Gowen at ringside, and then Angelico enters with Serpentico in his corner. Side note for everybody that may not know, and we'll get into it later maybe, the Zach Gowen guy is the guy that had one leg that they had wrestled for him for a real short time. It was a real short-lived thing. But yeah, he's at AEW.
I feel like.
Yeah. So the match highlights, if you want to call them that, are Ricochet and Angelico exchanging quick roll-up attempts. Angelico focuses on Ricochet's arm, grounding him with an arm drag twist. Ricochet regains control, sending Angelico to the outside, and then hits a dive over the ropes. There's a lot of dives over the ropes in AEW. Ricochet grabs a chair and chases Angelico, leading to a full commercial break. We come back from the break. Ricochet misses a top rope move. Angelico capitalizes with a slam and a lariat. Angelico applies a half crab. I always wondered why people would do a half crab instead of a full one. But nonetheless, Ricochet reaches the ropes and the hold gets broken. And then Ricochet counters with a big springboard clothesline, a slam, and then finally the spear gun finisher. And the winner by pinfall is Ricochet, and he's super bald. And
real quick,
then we get out.
The reason why they do that is because there's more resistance when you got two, and they can fight back easier, and it's not going to bend back. You can bend back one leg further than you can two, so you kind of get it further than the other one.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it's 2-on-1. You got the two arms and the one leg, so just more leverage on that one. But go ahead.
No, I never thought of it like that. That's a good point. So we get a post-match segment with Ricochet confronting Zach Gowen. And Ricochet grabs the mic and he taunts the crowd, saying that their boos mean nothing. He mocks the Detroit Lions and falsely claims that the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Ricochet name drops AEW's talent he's beaten over the past year. And then he turns to Zach Gowen at ringside, sarcastically calling him a legend. He says he was a fan of watching Brock Lesnar beat Gowen senseless. I don't know why I couldn't say that word. That seems to be a trend lately. Then he mocks his prosthetic leg. Ricochet pushes Gowen and fights off security, throwing guards into the barricades and the steps. While he was doing that, he was commentating it. So he's one-handedly throwing guards into the barricades and the steps. these have to be the worst security guards of all time. If the guy can sit there with one hand and throw you around and talk shit on the mic. And after that, he grabs a pair of scissors and cuts one of the guard's hair. And Gowen jumps the barricade and grabs the scissors. And Ricochet hits him in the leg and delivers a spear gun. Then Ricochet steals his prosthetic leg and holds it up while mocking him. I actually popped for this pretty good. I didn't expect it to happen. With a guy with a prosthetic leg, you don't expect that they're gonna. I mean, you always think about maybe that could. I didn't even consider that would happen though. So I popped pretty hard and laughed pretty good when he ripped the guy's leg off. That's pretty funny to me. What did you think of all of this, TJ?
I don't know, man. It was something. I thought it was pretty cool. He's probably like one of the better heels that they got in AEW right now. And anytime you steal somebody's prosthetic leg, it's gonna get you boos. It's funny how the security guards probably weighed like 100 pounds or something, like 110, because Ricochet's not too big himself, and if
he was bigger than them.
Yeah, if he's towering over you, like you're a small person.
They find these guys at the local middle school?
Probably, but those scissors were like the least sharp scissors like ever. Like that probably hurt what he was doing to him. It wasn't really cutting his hair.
No.
But yeah, overall, this was pretty good. This was probably the best thing of the night, like of any of the matches or the promos. And if you haven't seen this, look it up on YouTube. It's some pretty wild shit, and they don't do stuff like this anymore.
No, it was I agree with that 100%. It was this match and the aftermath of it were definitely the highlights of the show for me.
You know what I was thinking maybe they shouldn't do any more as well?
What's that?
This 8-man tag.
God damn it. Yeah. Well, lead us into this.
AR Fox, Bandito, the Outrunners, who they have completely fumbled, by the way. They were the most over tag team in a division where it doesn't almost exist, and they just slowly kind of made them mean nothing, and now the people aren't into them as much as they were. Not saying they aren't over now, but they definitely fumbled that. But Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd versus Don Callis family, Cal Fletcher, Rocky Romero, Trent, and Lance Archer. Commentary, Don Callis. He's always funny on commentary. I think Rocky Romero might be the smallest person they have on the roster.
Smaller than Adam Cole?
Yeah, he is fucking tiny. It didn't really stick out to me till last night. Like he's just a very short guy. And he was standing next to Lance Archer, and it really made him seem small. But the Don Callis family enters first. AR Fox and the Outrunners enter with an 80s style flair. ROH World Champion Bandito comes out to a strong reaction. I'm not really sure how strong the fucking reaction was. He fucking stinks, man. Like, it's just one of those interchangeable luchadors they have on the show that hasn't cut a promo. Wrestles the same kind of matches every single one of them does, and if you didn't say their name and they were all wearing the same mask, you wouldn't know who's who. What were you going to say?
And then we got another Ring of Honor title on the show again. Not that it's being defended this time.
It's like, seriously, the ROH World Championship means less on AEW programming than the ROH TV title does right now.
Yep.
Just make it make sense, It's I don't understand it. Like, just not good. But we'll jump into the match highlights. It starts with Kyle Fletcher versus Bandito. Fletcher overpowers him early, but Bandito fires back with a drop kick. Trent tags in, works Bandito over with some stiff shots. Romero enters with a double team on AR Fox. Before AR Fox tagged in, Lance Archer steps in, but's taken down briefly by Fox. The Outrunners double team Romero, and then Trent, clearing the ring. Archer re-enters and chokeslams both Outrunners. Bandito tags in, dives from the ropes onto Fletcher. Trent and Romero try to regain control, but are taken out by the Outrunners. Archer takes down the Outrunners, then throws Trent into Fletcher and Romero on the outside. Bandito launches off the Outrunners to dive over the top rope and then crash into the Callis family. Chaos erupts when all men are in the ring. Fletcher plants Bandito with a massive power bomb AR Fox hits a top rope cannonball on Fletcher, drops Trent, and then cuts down Archer. Fox hits a double cutter on Fletcher and Romero. The crowd is electric. I think this is being way too nice on these crowd reactions. Trent pulls Fox's leg from the outside, giving Fletcher an opening. Bandito and the Outrunners rush in to even the odds. Fox hits another double cutter on Trent Romero. Archer wipes out Bandito and the Outrunners. Romero and Trent hit the Jackal Driver on AR Fox for the win. Winners by pinfall, the Don Callis family. Fletcher, Romero, Trent, Lance Archer. Just kind of a big spot fest match. What'd you think?
Well, thank God it's over when it ended. But man, I feel like he's got a bunch of guys he doesn't know what to do with, and just keeps throwing them in these fucking 6-man, 8-man tags. The double cutter was cool. I didn't hate that.
I'm not hating on the execution of the moves and how they looked. That's usually never a question unless they're rushing through it, which I don't feel like was the case here. And
the work rate is almost always good in an AEW match.
I'm not even necessarily 100% shitting on the match itself in general, even though it was just kind of a match with not a lot of selling and, like I said, a spot fest. But, I mean, all the guys know how to do their moves. It's just like, why? And at what point should I care? You know, that's always the problem.
Yeah. I did like that they made Lance Archer look a little strong because he's a big guy. And traditionally, they don't always do a good job with big guys, and make them look fucking strong and make the little guys work to them instead of whatever goofy bullshit. But anyway, that match happened and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. But
we got something else.
Good job in the ring. What else was that?
It's the John Moxley vignette after this.
Oh no.
Yeah, we talk about that a little bit.
Well, fucking John Moxley vignette airs with John Moxley addressing Samoa Joe. He reflects on taking out on Joe taking out Claudio on Dynamite. He questions whether Joe can beat him and how long it would take because Mox has all night. He declares himself the champion, reminding viewers that he survived far worse than a steel cage. Says he's faced demons that would keep children awake at night. I don't know about that one. Mox just wants Joe to show up, and he says he doesn't get along with the world anyway, and he ends with the line, "There's no other place I'd rather be than locked in a steel cage with the baddest man on the planet. All that matters is the last man standing." Boy, I think he's getting worse at this. I used to be a John Moxley fan, like a 2019, 2020 John Moxley.
Yeah.
And man, turn back the clock a few years, try some of that other shit you were doing, or try something new, because this shit's not doing it for me. How did you like all this?
I mean, I'm not really sure what to like or not. I still don't understand John Moxley. Like, I guess they're saying the whole point is they want him to stand up, or he's there to try to get people to step up and like perform better or something. I don't know. They haven't really explained anything about him or what he's doing well or why that championship's in a briefcase. And again, I'm just not really sure why I should care. And the delivery on what he was saying wasn't bad, and I believe that he believes what he's saying. But
that's true.
I mean, overall, like, I kind of just space out when he's talking anytime I pay attention to it, and I'm just ready for this whole thing to be over eventually so they can move in another direction and actually have like a world champion that's capable of getting over people, and maybe like again, that's this guy, it's what has been accomplished during his title run, because nobody's came out looking better.
They've devalued the title in this run.
Nobody's come out looking any better. He that certainly hasn't looked better. Like, has Wheeler Yuta came out of anything looking any better? No, he's just like a small sack of shit. Just overall kind of pointless stuff, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Forgetful is forgettable, I should say, is a good word to describe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Something else forgettable's up next.
Yeah, take us into that.
Anthony Bowens with Billy Gunn and Lee Johnson with Blake Christian. Anthony Bowens enters to a big reaction alongside Billy Gunn. I feel like the fans actually do cheer him when he comes out.
Yeah, he's still over. Everybody wants to scissor him.
He's got that 5-tool player thing he's doing. Like, I like him. You know, it stinks because they're just gonna have him doing matches, and he's not really probably gonna be involved in any significant storylines or anything. But
yeah, he's gonna always be a mid card guy.
Well, I don't even know if he's that now. But Bowens controls the early lockup with arm work, then rolls Lee for a near fall. Slaps and repeated chops from Bowens, lights up Lee's chest. Bowens kicks Lee during a ref break, forcing Lee to roll outside. Lee backs into Billy Gunn and jaws at him, which allows Bowens to attack and send Lee into the barricade. Back into the ring, Bowens hits a Fameasser, then follows it up with more offense, but only gets a 2 count. Lee rallies, sends Bowens to the floor, and hits a big dive over the ropes. Lee and Blake Christian mock the Acclaimed in the ring. Bowens fights back with strikes and prepares for his finisher. Blake Christian distracts him, and Bowens regains control, drops Lee, and finishes him with a, I think it's actually Mollywop, by the way. And the winner, by pinfall, is Anthony Bowens. I don't know. Like, Anthony Bowens is cool, but it's just more of the same shit. Like, what does beating Lee Johnson mean? Like,
they fucked up breaking up the Acclaimed. I know we say that every time that either one of these guys is on TV, but
yeah, it's sad.
Oh,
one
of the most over tag teams. Let's get rid of them.
So Stupid. It's like you gotta have like matches with people on the show that people are invested in, and when one of them beats each other, or they have a good match with each other, since both of them are so respected, both of them come out looking better. I mean, I don't care about who Lee Johnson is, and I don't give a fuck if you beat him, and nobody else does. And what you think about that?
Not much. No, I'm just kidding. The in-ring work was solid. You know, these guys worked a pretty decent match. I didn't have a reason to care about either one of them really, but it was nice to see Bowens pick up a W and be able to get out there and, you know, work a match and be on TV, as opposed to being in the back and catering.
Yeah, we also had the post match too. Bowens promo.
That's true.
Christian enters the ring, and he's tossed out by Billy Gunn. Bowens takes the mic and declares what you just saw was the it factor of professional wrestling. He closes with, throw them up and make some noise. Bowens and Guns hit the signature scissor pose to end the segment. The crowd's still into scissoring. It's cool they brought that back, I guess, because, I don't know, it's what else is Billy Gunn there for?
Yeah.
But yeah, at least like here, like with Bowens, like I believe what he's saying too, just like John Moxley in the last one, and I believe he believes it. But his thing's fucking simple, you know. He's hyping himself up and saying that, like, you know, he's just saying that he's the man, and it's, you know, it doesn't always have to be anything crazy. As long as the guy has charisma and he delivers a message that people understand, people get behind it.
Yep.
That's
well, and moving on from there, we got a in-ring confrontation with the Gates of Agony calling out Big Bill and Brian Keith. The Gates of Agony come out in street clothes and demand microphones. They address Big Bill and Brian Keith directly.
Is this the first time they ever talked?
Is it?
I don't know, man. If it is, I don't remember the previous.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really... Sometimes I'm not paying as much attention as I should be, so maybe it is the first time. But yeah, paradise has to be earned. They promise to stomp out the momentum of Big Bill and Brian Keith, and they don't want a parking lot brawl. They want to fight right here in Detroit. And then the learning tree interrupts. The music hits. Big Bill and Brian Keith come storming down the ramp without hesitation, and the guys instantly start brawling, spilling to the outside. The highlights include Tia Leona, I think I said that right, charging at Big Bill and getting launched over the barricade. Bishop Khan grabbed Brian Keith and threw him off the stage, crashing through 2 tables. And then Big Bill and Leona went over the stage, smashing through other tables. It kind of looked like he was giving him a Samoan drop, if I remember right. He Samoan dropped him off the stage through the tables, but I'd have to rewatch it. And then in the aftermath, the officials and medical staff, I'm doing quotation marks that you can't see, rush in to check on all 4 men as the chaos settles. What'd you think of this part, TJ?
Nothing. I think it's weird that if you like want to get Big Bill and Brian Keith over as a tag team, that they don't have their own fucking music. You're spending money on all these fucking other bands and stuff, and you can't even get like some 21-year-old kid who puts music together to get these guys a generic song. I don't understand some of the weird stuff that goes on in this show, but I mean, it's cool. I like Brian Keith and Big Bill, and these Gates of Agony guys seem okay, I guess. They're trying to build this tag team division, but they're not really capable of building anybody with the way that all this stuff's set up. But I don't know. Overall, not much to talk about, and we can just go ahead and move on if you want and talk about this next match.
Lead us into it.
Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. They always have good matches, and I like both these girls.
Yeah, we talked about Willow earlier off the show and her ability to have a good match.
Yeah, this is probably the best match on the show. Not segment. The Ricochet stuff was the best segment, but I feel like this is the best match. They always put on solid matches. Chris Statlander makes her entrance first. A video package airs highlighting the history and past friendship between Statlander and Willow Nightingale. That was nice to see. Usually they don't do the packages explaining the stuff, how it happened in the past, but they need to slow down a little bit. They fucking rushed through this thing. And then Willow Nightingale enters to a strong reaction. She usually does get pretty good reactions from the crowd, you know. I wouldn't say that she's like a
Steve Austin
or anything, but she gets a pretty solid reaction. The match begins with the back and forth pushes and mat wrestling. Willow controls early with a headlock and a slam, taunting Statlander afterwards. Statlander responds with a slap and a quick cover for 2. The match breaks down into a slugfest with Willow landing a strong punch that floors Chris. Willow throws Chris into the turnbuckle, then delivers a snapmare. Statlander answers with a roll-up for 2, then a kick and another near fall. The two trade for quick roll-up attempts before Statlander connects with a back elbow off the ropes. Willow responds with a pounce, sending Chris to the floor, then hits a cannonball off the apron. Statlander counters with a suplex on the floor. We're back from the break, and Willow hits a suplex back inside the ring. Both hit each other with simultaneous clotheslines, knocking each other down. Statlander strikes first, but Willow hits a spinebuster for a close 2 count. Then Willow charges Chris in the corner but gets countered. Statlander hits an axe kick for another near fall. Willow counters with a lift into a Death Valley driver, 2 count. Both women climb the ropes, and then Statlander lands a huge superplex. Statlander goes.
I like that spot. It looked good.
Yeah, like they're decent in-ring chicks for sure. Statlander goes for a discus lariat, but Willow counters with a powerbomb that sends Chris out of the ring. Interference and finish. As the ref checks on Statlander, Marina Shafir sneaks in and chokes out Willow in the ring. Willer Yuta appears.
It's the worst looking choke of all time, by the way.
Yeah, she stinks. Willer Yuta appears ringside during the chaos. Statlander returns to the ring, picks up Willow, and then drops her with a head first slam. Statlander covers Willow for the win. So Chris won the match. And it was a good match. Not a whole lot to say about it, but they lay it in, especially when they wrestle each other. They have good chemistry together. Yep. I'm pretty sure they're buddies, but every time they wrestle each other, they lay it in pretty good, and it seems legit. And they always do these nice, like you said, the superplex, the stuff that they do off the top rope's nice. It's not a spot really like these quick little setups are that they do over and over again. It's a highlight of the match, you know.
Exactly. There's not a lot to say about it. Yeah, it's a good match.
Yeah, I agree.
I like both of these chicks. I hope that they continue to have success and be well health-wise. Also, what we talked about earlier, we might as well bring up real quick now, as they were talking about Willow's contract may be coming to an end here. So I'm assuming
they
that they'll make a great
on it, right?
Yeah. So we got to assume that they'll make big efforts to try to re-sign her and keep her, because she's one of the better in-ring performers that they have. And, you know, you said earlier, and I agree with that, she cuts, you know, realistic and believable promo. Like she's not bad. I could imagine WWE would want her. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. They're 100% going to make her an offer. If she shops the market, they will offer her money. It won't be as much as Toni will, though, but like all the other chicks, I feel like it'll be something that she'll probably want to explore just because she'll have the availability to make more money down the road. I think she'd be a star over in WWE. They have like Nia Jax and what's her face Dewdrop, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but they're both three bigger females, and she's better than the other two, like by leaps and bounds.
Probably better than both of them combined. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just not really much to say about it. Just definitely be something to look out for.
Get that bag, girl.
And then we go from one chick who might be on her way out to another girl that's on her way in from an injury. And they give a little video package with Sky Blue returning next week. Hype video airs promoting the return of her. Highlights some of her previous matches and moments. The package ends by confirming she will return next week at Beach Break. That should be cool. I like Sky Blue. She's definitely one of the harder chicks that they have for sure. But I think that's was one of her main draws earlier on. But I feel like she started getting better the longer she was there, which some chicks, they hit their plateau quick or don't seem to get any better. And hopefully with her time gone, she's at least improved somewhat. Like, I know that she's hurt, so she probably didn't improve.
I mean, she had a broken ankle, so it's hard to do much training or working out with that. But
hopefully she's gotten better on the promos. She was getting better. They didn't let her talk a lot, but
they had her doing the stuff with Julia when she had gotten hurt, and she was kind of like doing more of the gothic bad girl type of thing.
Yeah, but hopefully they actually got some stuff for her to do when she comes back instead of just some matches, and the character.
The thing that she's back for next week, which wasn't announced but is now announced, is she's going to be, and you and I talk about this, it feels like quite often now, world title eliminator match with Toni Storm and two other mystery gals that have yet to be announced. So another fatal 4-way title eliminator, but this time we get Sky Blue involved in it, and Toni Storm. So that
man,
I'm looking forward to that.
Fucking suck.
Yeah, it feels like they're just throwing Toni Storm in matches for the sake of having her in matches until she loses the belt to Mercedes. But at least we get to see her out there performing each week. So, you take the good with the bad, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. Just showcasing something that's good. There can be too much of a good thing. You know that,
right? But I eat too much ice cream. I'm not happy.
You want to jump us into the next?
Yeah. So next up, we get a tag team match with Takashita and Josh Alexander with Don Callis versus the Dark Order members Alex Reynolds and Evil Uno. And before we get into this, my thoughts exactly. I didn't even know that the Dark Order still fucking worked there. I mean, good for them.
Get rid of that. Evil Uno guy works for their fucking gaming division, whatever that means. And Alex Reynolds, I feel like maybe they show him on ROH now, but no fucking thank you, man. No, you have. You go ahead and talk about this. And I'll tell you after.
Yeah. Okay. So, real quick, we get the match. Don Callis and them and Takashita and Alexander come out. The Dark Order are already in the ring. They're such jobbers. They don't even get entrances. They come in during the pre-tape or the commercials. The match highlights include very little. No, I'm just kidding. Takashita immediately takes out Alex Reynolds at the start. And then Takashita and Alexander double team Evil Uno on the outside before the match fully settles. In the ring, Takashita works over Reynolds but gets briefly overwhelmed by Uno after a tag. Takashita regains control and tags in Alexander, who continues the assault. Takashita and Alexander hit repeated knee strikes on Reynolds. Alexander finishes the match by delivering the C4 spike on Reynolds. The winners by pinfall are the Don Callis family, Takashita and Alexander, and the losers are the Dark Order and all of us. My God, thankfully that is over. I don't have much to say about that. What were you gonna get into that you paused until the end?
You just got all these fucking really talented people on the roster, and you just show these guys on your 4 hours of television time you got each week. doesn't really make a lot of sense. I don't ever want to see Evil Uno again. Alex seems all right, but you could get him away from the Dark Order. When Brody sadly passed, it was time to move on from all that, and just no thank you. Don't ever fucking show these guys on the screen again, and every time you do, you're basically insulting your fan base, and these guys could actually maybe have a chance to get over without this whole Dark Order thing shackled to them, and you're just wasting talent that may be there, and just, I don't know. We can move on to the next thing here. It's Speedball Mike Bailey versus Drilistico. I don't know. There's just more, just no thank you here. It's Drilistico is just another interchangeable luchador guy, and Speedball Mike Bailey looks like a child, and what he does well, but it's just not for me. And I don't.
Drilistico is. I mix him up with that Fraxum guy from SmackDown a lot.
Yeah, they do look kind of similar. But I don't know. I don't really need to see Speedball Mike Bailey on every show you got.
Nope.
He makes his entrance first to a strong ovation. That's being generous. Drilistico follows and enters with intensity. Drilistico opens aggressively, cornering Mike Bailey. Bailey recovers, sending him into the outside. He lands a moonsault on the apron to Drilistico. Resets the count by rolling into the ring. On the floor, Bailey lays in chops. Drilistico gouges his eyes and into the steel steps. Drilistico kicks Bailey with a strong comeback. They trade chops. Bailey hits a thrust kick. Bailey goes for a 450 splash. Bailey lands a Canadian destroyer. Bailey recovers and lands a spinning roundhouse. Bailey covers Drilistico and scores a 3 count. I kind of rushed through that. I don't really want to talk about that, man.
Fuck these guys,
Yeah, it's just I'm not trying. I know we're being super negative here, but it's this stuff's even worse to fucking talk about than watch it. It just I don't want to fucking see this shit. I want to see I'm not even saying I don't want to see Speed Bailey, but it's just at this point it's you've just established that he's in these matches, and he's just, I don't know, just gonna be doing this. And I don't know, if he was actually wrestling somebody I cared about for a reason, it'd be cool, but I don't know. No. Just more no.
I mean, and to your point about the negativity and the no, we don't want to see this. You guys can go back and listen to our Dynamite episodes, or the episodes that we've talked about Dynamite, and it's mostly talked about in a relatively positive light. It's more so a Collision issue, it seems like. And that's what happens when you have one guy that is responsible for the bulk of the creative for all of the shows. Even Vince knew that after a point, you had to kind of relinquish a little bit of the creative reins and have some other people help you.
Well, it's not even just that. It wasn't even done. Post-match, Rush comes out and stares down Bailey from the stage. Bailey calls him into the ring, signaling he's ready for the challenge, and it's fucking Rush stinks. It's fuck, man.
Every time that guy comes on, and I know I say this a lot, but man, fucking, I just rush to the remote to fucking fast forward through the segments he's on.
Yeah, he fucking stinks. Don't need to hear it. I just, that little stupid catchphrase he says with the mess with the bull, you get the horns. It's
you get the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's nuts because this is a long match right here to break down. And good thing we're cutting to you to fucking do this one, because I wouldn't really fucking talk about this one either.
Well, circling back to that Roosh thing real quick, when I see him, it's just
yeah,
get that guy out of here. But anyway,
real quick before we move on, it's I believe it. Not him at all.
Oh shit, not him. Yeah.
But go ahead.
Nobody believes in that guy. So anyway, speaking of guys that nobody believes in, we get Daniel Garcia versus Dax Harwood from FTR. And I don't know why we keep getting Daniel Garcia matches, but here we are. The match begins with a tense stare down and aggressive lockup. Garcia gains control early, sending Dax into the corner and patting his head mockingly, when they kind of smack each other on the head, in a condescending way. Dax fires back with hard chops, taking control of the match. probably how it should be. I can't see how Daniel Garcia, who weighs like 150 pounds, is having a competitive match with anybody. But the two trade stiff shots. Dax drops Garcia with a knee to the head, and then Dax goes for a pile driver, but Garcia escapes to the outside. On the floor, Dax attempts another pile driver, but Garcia counters him and sends him headfirst into the ring post. Dax is left bleeding and seated on a chair. Garcia delivers a drop kick and a running knee lift. The interference begins. As Garcia goes for another knee, Wheeler intervenes, allowing Dax to land a clothesline. Dax grabs the ring bell, but the referee stops him. Stokely comes out and distracts the ref, and Cash attacks Garcia. Matt Menard runs down, and the crowd goes mild, and he begins brawling with Wheeler. Dax continues punishing Garcia while taunting him. Garcia rallies and delivers a flurry of strikes and a lariat that drops Dax. Garcia hits a belly-to-back suplex for a near fall. Garcia attempts a dragon tamer, but Dax counters and sends Garcia into the exposed turnbuckle. I don't know how it's 2025 and exposed turnbuckle spots are still happening. Are these referees blind? How do you not say, hey, well, what the fuck? The pad came off of the turnbuckle there. Hold on now. Let's get that. But anyway, Dax nearly gets the win and Garcia kicks out. And then we get a superplex. Dax climbs the ropes. Garcia hits a superplex. Garcia holds and hits another superplex. Garcia holds on again and hits a third superplex. 3 of them. That's pretty cool. He covers Dax with one arm, but Dax gets a foot on the bottom rope. The crowd chants, "This is awesome." And we're going over the 10 o'clock end time, which is cool. It's good that TBS will let them do this. Although it's not cool at the same time because you could have just cut a little bit of the shittier segments out of the show and gotten us off of watching god-awful Collision sooner. But anyway, they brawl in the crowd and the fight spills into the audience. Dax throws Garcia into the area behind commentary. Dax shoves Nigel McGuinness and knocks off his headset. Nigel insists he's retired, and Dax shoves him again. I imagine at some point he's going to be working some kind of tag team match with these guys against FTR, and nobody really wants to see that, but nobody wants to see Pat McAfee versus Gunther either, and we're getting that soon here. But anyway, chaos ends the match. Back in the ring, Stokely Hathaway distracts the referee again. Nigel enters the ring and attacks FTR. Matt Menard joins in and helps clear FTR from the ring. The result of the match is a no contest. The post-match that we get here to end the show is Nigel McGuinness, Daniel Garcia, and Matt Menard standing tall in the ring as FTR retreats. And boy, it's unfortunate to see FTR get some of this bad creative stink on them. What did you think of all this, DJ?
I don't know. I mean, you probably got a pretty good idea already.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I'm just tired of seeing Daniel Garcia. He fucking sucks. He hasn't improved, I feel like, in years. He looks like shit. It looks like he always has grease all over him. He can't talk worth a fuck. He had that TNT title, right? And like, what did it do to get him over? Nothing, because they don't have any plans for any of these guys anytime they give them these little mid-card belts. I like Dax. He's the man. I wish he was in FTR. Going to, like, they always do this with FTR. They put them in these singles matches. They should have them in fucking tag matches. I don't know. I don't really get it, but it was an okay enough match. Nothing too bad happened, but just I don't know. Just I don't have a lot to say about it. Want to move on to the next one? Or
yeah, you can lead us into it.
Before we do that, so overall, like, this show was fucking terrible. The Tony segment was cool, and the Statlander Willow match was all right. But overall, anything else, it's just a chore to watch, And you don't ever want your show to be like that. I attribute this to like Dragon Ball Z, and it's like they do have shows where some of these shows or the matches are fucking awesome. But like, let's just say you're watching Dragon Ball, and all of a sudden, like, some fucking character comes out of nowhere that you've never seen before and then has this awesome fight with Goku. And you, at first you might be like, that's all right. But it's like 100 episodes in and that's happened 40 times. You're going to be like, man, that kind of fucking sucks. Is anything ever going to happen here?
Yeah, it's a accurate way to describe it.
Yeah, but I'll take us into the next one. So we're going to do our Today in Wrestling segment here. It's just now that we got a little bit more time on these podcasts, we're going to be trying to throw these in, and maybe we'll have some other kind of segments that we'll come up with too, and we'll be able to start doing a little bit more of what we like about wrestling, because I mean, Dave and I are really into that wrestling history. I mean, if you can't tell that yet, I don't know what to tell you, but we're both pretty nostalgic for a lot of this stuff. So it was the most attended Raw ever. Right? Or not attended, most viewed.
The highest, the highest rated in American history.
Oh, so I'm completely off.
That's okay.
The highest rated in, if you can't tell that AEW stuff, it's like when you watch the show, Collision, you want to fall asleep. Talking about it, like I said, is even worse. But
it causes brain rot.
So it's the highest rated in history. It's a WWE Raw, $510.99, which they were hitting a lot of stuff out of the park at this time. They had an attendance of 12,652 at the Arena, Orlando, Florida. May 10th, 1999 episode of Monday Night Raw is renowned for achieving the unprecedented 8.1 Nielsen rating, making it the most watched Raw episode in U.S. television history, a record that remains unbroken. An 8.1 rating in terms of television viewership translates to approximately 25.381 million viewers. According to Nielsen, the surge in viewership was partially due to WCW Monday Nitro being preempted by NBA playoffs, allowing WWE to capture a broader audience. Could you imagine that amount of people watching today?
Yeah, I mean, that's
It'd be impossible.
No, I can't imagine that many people watching anything today. And for perspective, for folks that don't know about like what the Nielsen rating means, 8.1 in the Nielsen ratings means that 8.1% of homes with televisions in them were watching Monday Night Raw of all of the homes in the country. So that's where that 25.381 million number comes from. That's an insane fucking number. I don't think any wrestling show has ever come close to that since then.
Absolutely not. Maybe I don't even think WrestleMania worldwide gets that amount of views.
That just tells you how hot it was at the time. So when folks try to tell you that, you know, wrestling is hotter than ever and they're having the most successful period that they've ever had, you tell them financially they're having the most successful period that they've ever had. Well, there is no fucking 25 million people watching anything.
Collision had its highest viewership in like years 2 weeks ago, and it's because it was preempted by an NBA game, and it got 700,000 viewers.
It's like we're talking about fractions of what the wrestling audience used to be.
But the main event for this show was the Corporate Ministry versus Austin, Rock, and McMahon, which is pretty big. You know, that's like Austin, Rock, and McMahon were their top guys at the time. You know, best
essentially all Hall of Famers.
Yeah. The headlining match features a 6-man tag team between Shane McMahon, Undertaker, and Triple H, representing the Corporate Ministry, and they faced off against Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and Vince McMahon. WWE Commissioner Shawn Michaels served as a special guest referee. This match was pivotal in the ongoing storyline involving the Corporate Ministry and their adversaries. That was any time they had any of those guys involved doing anything back in the day, it was always usually pretty interesting stuff. And if you could get that kind of lineup on a show today with that amount of legends, it's just they can't do it. They probably won't be able to do that for a while. They have a star lined up show on Mondays every week, and it still can't compare to this. Then after that, we had the Women's Championship with Deborah versus Nicole Bass on behalf of Sable. Originally scheduled as an evening gown match, Deborah and Sable for the Women's Championship, the bout took an unexpected turn when Sable introduced Nicole Bass as her replacement. Bass quickly stripped Deborah, seemingly securing victory. However, Commissioner Shawn Michaels declared the match rules were reversed, meaning the first to be stripped would be the winner, thus awarding Deborah the championship. The episode marked Sable's first appearance in WWE until her return in 2003. The additional highlights were Cactus Jack returning, Mick Foley resurrected his Cactus Jack persona for a one-night-only appearance, teaming up with the Union and facing Visser and Midian in a hardcore matchup. Sorry, I just jumped into that. Did you have anything to say about that Deborah versus Nicole Bass thing?
Oh, boy, not much really.
Nicole Bass was one hell of a built chick.
She was giant. I mean, for perspective, for fans that may not be familiar with her, I'm sure a lot of people probably aren't, but most people would know Chyna, of course. She was bigger than Chyna in terms of size. And I don't mean bigger like Nia Jax. I mean like physically bigger and stronger. Like Nicole Bass was a specimen. She wasn't the prettiest gal, but man,
was trying to sleep with her for a while.
Yes.
But overall, I remember that watching this segment. I remember Shawn Michaels coming out and doing that. It was funny stuff, but like I said, the Cactus Jack return, and then we had the unique matchups: Ken Shamrock versus Chyna, Farouk versus Bradshaw in a lumberjack match, Big Show versus Paul Bearer, Big Boss Man versus Test in a nightstick on a pole match.
I remember that match.
Yeah, same here. And it was just all for the time, this is what people wanted to see with the people they wanted to see it with. Then we had a comedy segment. A humorous match featured Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe taking on the Mean Street Posse, which was one of the highest rated segments in Raw history at the time. And it's funny, I remember this too, and it was fucking hilarious.
Pat Patterson's shirt with the that said "First IC Champ" on it. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and they did little matches like this all the time, and they could still kind of go for their age, and they were really good at comedic wrestling. And it's funny that's how I always remember them, but it shouldn't be at all. They should be known for a whole bunch of different shit than just that.
That's true. No, that's a pretty good description for the two of them.
Okay.
I always liked seeing the Briscoe brothers auto body. You know, it's funny. It's still there. I drive by it sometimes. I don't know if it's open still or not, but it's in Tampa there. And when I'm driving down there delivering and stuff, I'll see it from time to time.
And remember, and then it's worth the drive.
Yep, that's right.
But
go ahead. Finish this up here at that part.
I'm gonna say that's about it. It's just it was actually a pretty decent show. I remember the whole thing. I really enjoyed it as a kid. But why wouldn't you? You know. But that's about it. And if you want, you can toss us into getting on out of here.
Okay. Well, what's coming up next is tomorrow. We'll be hitting you guys with another episode. We'll be doing a SmackDown breakdown and a Backlash breakdown. We're recording this the day of Backlash, so we'll have both of those. We'll be breaking them down and talking about them, and hopefully Backlash is pretty good. It seems weird. I think there's only 5 or 6 matches announced. I think it was 5 my last check.
That's how they do a lot of these like non-bigger pay-per-views. But I'm sure we'll be speaking of it in a higher regard than what we did this show.
For sure. That goes without saying, I think, maybe. But anyway, don't forget to check us out on all of our social medias at OverMark ENT. Thanks for listening, Overmaniacs. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the next episode. Have a good night and enjoy Backlash this evening.
I'm sure I will, and we'll be watching it together, and we appreciate you guys from checking us out, and have a good night.